Yo, this is that point of contact ultra hardcore completionist. It's the same game setup as Awakening, with the co-op alone hardcore, but I decided to make my loadout a lot harder with 5 relics. You can see them in the bottom left of the menu there. They're those ancient looking symbols. Each one of them makes the game harder in a certain way. It's because this map's a lot easier and I needed to compensate a little bit or else this would be not as fun to watch. Okay, so there's a really important thing you're about to see right here. So, the challenge was use only melee attacks to damage enemies until the hive is destroyed. But I just shot that hunter up, and it's still going. The thing is, there's a countdown timer of 5 seconds where the challenge isn't active. And so you can do whatever you need to in those 5 seconds to get ready for the challenge. The challenge doesn't start until that little timer goes away. That's going to be important for at least one challenge later in the run, and more if I'm just not remembering them. Okay, so the important thing about this map is that you have no time to get set up at the beginning. In Awakening, I was able to basically set up for the entire rest of the game before I even started a wave. This map, it's not like that. If you've played Point of Contact on like regular difficulty, you know that you don't have a lot of time between hives. You have like 2 minutes to get yourself ready for the next one. In hardcore, it's like 30 seconds. You just have to take the drill to the next hive and plant it. And so that means that we don't get a break where we can actually set up for the run until we complete the first barrier hive, which is hive 5, which is about 12 minutes in. So this entire thing where we have a gun with no attachments. We aren't gonna get to move all of the propane tanks onto the barrier hive, which is a way to kill it faster. You'll see that in a sec though. I'm still able to get a few of them, just not all of them. Okay, so while we're doing this challenge, let's talk about the relics I have. So I've got 5 of them. Each one makes the game harder in a certain way. They are take more damage, smaller wallet, no machines, standard ground, and fragile. Every time I pull up my screen for my loadout, you can see them on the bottom left there. They're like the 5 ancient looking symbols. Take more damage is just a flat out like 20% damage boost from the enemies to me, so every time I get hit, it hits harder. Then smaller wallet means that my money limit is 3,000 points instead of 6,000 points. And I earn money at a 3/4 rate, so I kill a hunter and I only get 75 bucks. Or, not 75, 150, because he's normally worth 200. I get 150 instead. Or 225 for a crit, but that's just because multipliers. Then, standard ground makes me move at 70% the normal rate. That's just my base movement speed. You can see that my dude is like barely moving every time I take a step. And then fragile means that my health regenerates slower than normal, and it doesn't regenerate when I'm moving. So all of those combine to make this a lot harder of a loadout to work with than I had in Awakening. So this run took me a few hours of attempts. A lot of them ended in this first area, which you'll see why in a sec here as we get to hives 3 and 4. It just overloads you with seekers. It's crazy. So the reason I'm using Feral Instincts down there, it's on the bottom of my D-pad, it's like the wolf, it costs 800 instead of armor, is partly just to spice the game up. I wanted it to be not as easy, so it's a little more interesting to watch and play. I think that was a good idea. But it's more because Feral Instincts has a very interesting way of like combating the stand your ground relic. So stand your ground makes me move at 70% speed, and then Feral Instincts, when it's upgraded once or higher, says that it boosts my movement speed by 20%. And so that is true, but that's not really how it works. What Feral Instincts means when it says it boosts your movement speed by 20% is that it completely drops every like base movement speed multiplier you had previously. So it completely ignores the 70% from standard ground and replaces it with 1.2. So I have stand your ground, and I'm moving at 70% movement speed, and I throw Feral Instincts, and I'm not moving at like 0.7 times 1.2, which would be like 0.8 something, or 0.7, yeah, 0.8 something. I'm not moving at 0.8 something, I'm moving at 1.2 movement speed, which effectively means that when I throw Feral Instincts out, it's not a 20% speed boost, it's like a 75% speed boost, and that is massive. My survival in like the late game, specifically once we get to the third area, is going to depend on my ability to have Feral Instincts active 100% of the time. Otherwise, I literally just won't be able to, I won't be fast enough to juke Scorpions and also avoid Rhinos. Rhinos are a big problem in this run. So Rhinos, they're the really big dudes. They have a lot of armor, they have a lot of health, and they hit really hard. You know, based on that, you'd assume that the Rhinos are like really slow to counter that, but no, they are really fast. They can charge you down and get all up in you and do a ton of damage, because I have that take more damage relic. They can do a ton of damage really fast, and they can close the distance to me even faster, right? So they're gonna be a problem. Thankfully, I run into a little glitch for some reason. I saw it with the Rhinos. For some reason, a few of the Rhinos decided not to be fast and just to like kind of walk aggressively toward me, and so that made them a lot easier to deal with, especially in the second Barrier Hive. The second Barrier Hive was one of the main like a choke point of this run because of a weird mechanic it has involving Rhinos, but we'll get there when we get there. So this map, the way we progress through it, it's similar to the way we progress through Awakening, except instead of scanning the obelisks like we did in Awakening, we're just straight up destroying these enemy hives so that we can make our way to the crater, which is like the very end of the map. There's like a big ass crater from where, if you play the campaign, there's this like super weapon thing that drops like giant metal rods on the earth, and we're going to a site where one of those hit the ground and accidentally unearthed these dudes. So we have to destroy the hives to make our way to the crater, and then we activate a nuke and we run back to the spawn point to escape on a helicopter. So it's divided into 3 areas again, like Awakening and like all the rest of the Extinction maps. But the thing that separates them isn't the Vanguard sequence anymore like it was in Awakening. Now it's what's called a Barrier Hive, and we're about to see one here in about 45 seconds, I think. The Barrier Hive is just a really big hive that it blocks your path and it separates areas 1 and 2, and then there's another Barrier Hive that separates areas 2 and 3. It's really big, so you can't use the drill to destroy it. So instead, you have to let the helicopter shoot it. The helicopter that like dropped us off at the map comes back as like a support helicopter throughout the game. And the helicopter just has to shoot this hive until it dies. We can help out. We can damage the hive too. And so we're going to use, you know, our gun, which isn't very upgraded because we don't have an arc or an extended mags on it right now, to damage the hive, as well as the propane tanks. You can see that littered throughout the map, there's a bunch of propane tanks right here. I'm about to pick one up. And I mean, you saw one of them in the challenge on the third hive was destroy or kill 5 enemies with propane tanks. So they just explode. They make like a pool of fire beneath them, and we can use that to destroy the barrier hive. We're gonna throw all of them that we can on the hive, and then we're just gonna shoot them and take a large chunk of its health off right off the bat, which makes it go down quicker. But of course, because the enemies spawn so quickly after you've killed a hive in this first area, or throughout the entire game, we wouldn't have time to set up all the propane tanks in this area on the hive, so we're only going to get like 5 of them as opposed to 15, so it's not going to do too much damage. But yeah, you can see the propane tanks just take a solid chunk of the hive's health off right off the bat. So these propane tanks are going to be a very important part of the second Barrier Hive, because of the rhino thing. Essentially, on the second Barrier Hive, if we don't kill it in 2.5 minutes, a rhino will spawn in, and when we kill that rhino, another one will just take its place. And so the goal is to kill the Barrier Hive as quickly as possible, and so we need to put all of the propane tanks on there. There's the problem of having this explosive Cryptid Slayer ammo. We just immediately destroy every propane tank, right? Because they have like 1 HP, and if they're even within the blast radius of a shot, they blow up. So we have to find a way to store them, like to store the propane tanks, where I can't accidentally just blow all of them up, but I have to be able to quickly transfer them onto the Barrier Hive in the second area. And there's a really cool way to do that that's actually like useful in regular gameplay that I'm going to show you, that I'm going to show off. But yeah, after this hive, we get our first like little break, because enemies don't spawn in between areas, which is, you know, to give you time to set up for the next area, and I take full advantage of that. I took 9 minutes to both get everything from the first area that I wasn't able to get because you can't set up in the first area, as well as set up the second area. 9 minutes total, so I sped it up by like 4 times so that it's much more watchable. But as you can see, that health bar is just steadily going down as the helicopter shoots it, and it's about to be done. And then I think, do I finish it off? No. A lot of times with the Barrier Hives, like you can speed kill Barrier Hives if you set up for it, but sometimes it's better to just focus on keeping yourself alive and let the helicopter do its thing. It takes some extra time, but sometimes it's just what you need to do. Gives us a fat bit of money there. Okay, and then we're off to the setup. So I am looking for an arc, an extended mags, a red dot, and flares. I just found the extended mags there, and I also find a red dot, I believe, but I don't find an arc for the entire game, which sucks because the arc is a flat out 34% damage boost to your primary weapons as far as I know, which is really big, and it would help us kill especially the rhinos a lot faster. But yeah, we get a red dot because, as you saw throughout that first area, this thing's iron sights are ass, and extended mags is cool because it increases our magazine size by half, but it also increases our reserve ammo by half, which is more important because we go from being able to only carry 60 something shots to 90 something shots. Okay, that's an example of how dangerous a rhino is. That was just a rhino all by himself, nothing else, and he was able to, you know, get us within 1 hit of dying. If I hadn't, like, lucked out and finished him with the pistol there, he probably would have got me. Okay. Here's the thing. So we throw the propane tanks in this little window right here. So they're in that room, and we're gonna transfer them to the Barrier Hive. But the thing is, we can grab them through the wall, but we can't destroy them through the wall. You just pick one up through the wall, put it on the hive. That's what we're gonna do when it comes time for this Barrier Hive. We're gonna finish setting up by just throwing them on there. And again, that's so that we don't accidentally blow all of them up, and because we need to use them on the Barrier Hive, and that's the only place that we can effectively transfer. We don't have much time to get all the propane tanks on the hive. This is the only place that's going to let us do that. And it's actually, you know, it's actually useful in regular gameplay. If you want to, you'll see when we get there. You just walk up, pull them out through the wall, throw them on the Barrier Hive, good to go. Easy peasy. So yeah, I keep searching up all these boxes. I'm still looking for an arc. I ended up finding a muzzle brake, so I mean, at least I have that. It increases my effective damage range. The muzzle brake. It means that my maximum damage, like my gun keeps maximum damage for a longer distance. Which, I mean, it's cool, but it's not a 34% damage boost. Alright. here we go, second area. We're gonna get to see, because of this challenge, there's a really, okay, don't reload your weapon for 60 seconds, means don't, like, physically complete the act of reloading. If you can find a way to refill your magazine without hitting square or letting your dude, like, slap a new mag in, you're fine. And so we're gonna use that to our advantage here. My weapon specialist ability, if you see it on the D-pad, it's 2 ups above the 3000. It gives me infinite ammo for like a limited amount of time. Depends on how upgraded my class is. I think it's something like 6 seconds right now. So it gives me infinite ammo for a few seconds. And obviously that's cool, because right here there's the infinite ammo. I can shoot as much as I want, and I come out of it on the other side with a fresh mag of 12 shots. And that's how you get this challenge, easy peasy. Of course, there are, in maps with the Venom X, there's tricks you can use to refill the Venom X's mag without actually reloading it. But the Venom X is not present in this map. This is the map that launched with the game, and it's very bare bones. It's too bare bones in my opinion. There's not enough content here. In my opinion, it should have launched with more, and maybe people would have, you know, liked this game more off the bat, not just dismissed it as having no content because it had no content. So I took the skill point from that and I put it into my feral instincts. You can see they're now level 2. So level 1 gives me that speed boost that I talked about earlier. Level 2 gives me a health regen boost, which is useful for countering the fragile relic, which makes my health regen slower. Essentially, my class is, I gave myself a lot of disadvantages with these relics, and my class is built around counteracting those disadvantages. So, I mean, for the most part. So for, you know, take more damage, the way you counter that is you have armor, but I decided to not put armor on. That's because armor is the secondary health bar down there. In the bottom left of the screen, it's the blue shield, and you can, if you have armor equipped, you can just throw your armor out, and it gives you, you know, essentially a refillable health bar. And as far as I know, that the armor bar isn't affected by take more damage. Like, it just does, it takes the same amount of damage, which is really useful. So armor is how you counter take more damage, but I decided to spice things up and use ferals instead, which ferals counters 2 relics. It counters stand your ground, the move slower one, very well, and it counters fragile pretty well. Also, the ability to see enemies through walls when I have the feral instincts on. You wouldn't think that would be that important because there's no wall bangs happening in this mode, but the intel aspect of just knowing where everything is at all times is massive. So this challenge, I have the perfect gun for this, so it's not going to be a problem at all. But if you don't have, you know, either the MR28 or like a bulldog or like a shotgun or something, your best bet for this challenge is to just take whatever gun you have and just fire like single taps. Even if you've got, I mean, as long as your rate of fire isn't so crazy high that you accidentally are popping off like 2-shot bursts, this challenge isn't really that much of a problem, because you can just like really quickly with like an SA-805 or something and just make sure each one's hitting. The idea is, if you go full auto on enemies, a lot of times what happens is that you end up shooting an extra like 3 shots after you've killed them, and that kills your shot accuracy. But yeah, just single fire, treat every gun as if it was semi-auto for this challenge, and you won't have a problem with it. It's starting to give me a lot of meteors again. We had a little break. Okay. Those two, so you can see that little electric wall on the left of the screen right now. It's that the electric traps in this area, the second area of point of contact, are some of the best ones in the game. They're insanely good. And the traps in the third area are absolutely trash. They can get nothing done. And so there's a challenge called kill 5 enemies with traps, and it is pretty much imperative that we get that challenge on a hive in this area, or else the completionist becomes much less likely, just because of how bad the traps in the third area are. Thankfully, I end up getting it on this next hive, so it's not a problem at all. Oh man, those seekers are brutal. With take more damage, a seeker can run up to me and take off like a third of my health. So yeah, I had to pop my medic upgrade there because I knew I was gonna get trashed. That's one of the things I learned as I was doing attempts for this run. I got a lot better at predicting when I need to use my abilities, like my weapon specialist infinite ammo ability and my medic fast health regen ability. Because most games I end up like never using them, except for like in a boss fight or something. I'm always like, oh, I don't need to use this, and then just try to keep it and save it for later. Oh man, that was close, by the way. But the first area of this forced me to use them a lot more. And there's an upgrade called the class upgrade frequency boost, which makes them take 1.5 minutes instead of 3 minutes to regen, which was, I don't know if it was essential to this run, but it was definitely essential to the earlier runs when I wasn't playing this cleanly. Okay, so we're about to get the trap challenge. There it is. So, let's talk upgrade strategy. How I was planning to upgrade all my stuff. So initially, when I was doing my first attempts that weren't working, I took my classes up to level 3 so that I can get the Scorpion immunity and the faster reloading abilities. And that is definitely the move. Like early game, I think that's pretty much the best thing you can do, is get classes up to 3. But and then after that, I put 1 point into my ammo, which I did in this game as well. That's so that I go from getting 40% ammo by throwing out 1 box, which costs 2,000. I go from 40% to 70%. Again, that's really important because it contributes, it leads to me being able to keep feral instincts active more often because I'm not having to buy ammo as much. And then after I did the classes, and then after I put that 1 point into ammo, that's where this run changed from the previous ones. I decided, in this run just on a whim, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna, instead of trying to max out my classes, which costs 3 more points, so it would have cost, most of this area, instead of trying to max those out, I decided to max ferals out first, and that was definitely the move. My feral instincts are now upgraded to level 4, and I have them active right now. You can see I'm moving like I don't even have that slower relic on. I can see all the enemies through walls. It's just great. And having them up to level 4 means they last 3 times as long. So that means that my goal of having feral instincts active at every single moment of time in the third area is now something I can actually do, because I'll be getting enough money to throw out a new set of feral instincts every 45 seconds. It makes a big difference. I love this MR28 for this reason. You've got the feral instincts. I can see the enemies who are like 60 yards away, and I can just punish them from all the way the hell back here. It's something you really can't do with any other gun. It's like it's essentially just a long-range bulldog. That's why I like it. Oof, they ran out. Yeah, at this point I was kind of crap at predicting when the ferals were gonna run out, but throughout the run I got a little better at that. Like I could kind of start to feel when I would need to throw a new one so that I could keep it up constantly. Okay, so we're about to see the second Barrier Hive. I'm going to start by just trying to take as much health off the Barrier Hive as possible, like right off the bat, so that the helicopter doesn't have to kill as much of this thing and we can be done with it faster. So my goal was to kill it in 2.5 minutes. I believe it's 2.5 minutes. I'll have to check this video to see what it actually is. But my goal was initially to kill it in 2.5 minutes so that I don't get that rhino. Because in 2.5 minutes it spawns a rhino, and when I kill that rhino, it just immediately spawns another one in. So my goal was to beat it before it even has that chance. I wasn't able to do that on this run because I didn't find an arc, and because I don't have my weapon specialist ability maxed out. I'm missing out on like a 50% net damage boost, and so this thing, it survives a lot longer than I'd want, and a rhino, we do end up getting a rhino. And so at that point, I decide, alright, screw this Barrier Hive, I'm literally just going to go run back to the first area and just focus on staying alive. So yeah, we start out with, there's a flare, throw it down so that the enemies get distracted, works kind of like a monkey bomb, and we're going to use that infinite ammo, unload on it for about 6 seconds or whatever, and come out of it on the other side with a full mag, drop that mag in, and you know, because of what I just did, now the hive essentially starts at 60% health. And of course, I don't know if you heard it, the helicopter just said, it's too hot, I'm going higher. Which means that all of these scorpions just damaged him so hard that he has to leave. So, yep, the hive's 60% health. That's not as much damage as I would like to have done in my little opening burst, but you know, what can you do? A rhino's gonna spawn in, and at that point I just gotta focus on keeping myself alive. The helicopter, even if I'm not guarded, oh my god, wow, that's low health. There's the rhino. Yep. Fun time. Okay, so something you might notice is, for some reason, the rhinos were like bugged out in this run. You see him just kind of like walking around. Oh, okay, now this one's running. But I think after I kill a few of them, for some reason they stop actually running at me, and they just start walking, and it's weird. And it's definitely a glitch, but I will happily accept, because this run had been kicking my ass, so you know, I'll roll with it. That's a lot of scorpions. So there's a little quirk of the AI of these enemies. Sometimes it seems like they're programmed to, like when they spawn in, they see where you are, and then the first thing they do is they go to where you were when they spawned in. And so you're going to see that a few times in this run, where a rhino will literally just walk right past me, go to where I was like 10 seconds ago, and then turn around and then start coming for me. I think I used that a little bit in this part, but it really shows up in like the escape sequence at the very end of the game, when we have to run back to spawn from the very end of the map. But yeah, I think this rhino, I don't know where that rhino was. You can hear every time it plays like that boom thing, it spawns a rhino, and yeah, like here's this dude. He's bugged out. It's like I start killing him, and then I figure like, wait, if he's just walking, like he can still do his attacks, but if he's just gonna be walking at me, oh, I killed that one. That's cool. I'll do it to the next one. I just leave one of them alive, because every time I kill it, it just spawns another one, right? Nope, this one's fast. Where is he? Eventually one of the rhinos is slow. Yeah, oh my god, dude. Yeah, these rhinos, they were brutal. Once I got to the third area, you know, you have to just focus on killing the rhino as fast as possible whenever one spawns in. And so, you know, in all but, not all but one, I think in all but 2 cases in the third area, when the rhinos actually start spawning in during hives, like regular gameplay, I was able to kill them like before they even got out of the ground. Okay, here we go. Cause yeah, that's how they spawn in. They spawn underground and then they crawl out. Oh my god. Yeah, MR28, it's a long-range bulldog, but it's also like almost as good as the bulldog up close. You saw how I killed that rhino in one mag, and I don't even have like my max DPS. That helicopter sounded funny. It sounded like a, I don't know if you heard it, but for some reason it didn't sound like the turret. Yeah, it doesn't sound like the turret sound effect. It sounds like a CBJMS, like a tiny little submachine gun. What the hell? Oh, here he is. I think this is the one. This is the slow rhino. He's just kind of like walking when you walking. And so I decide that I'm just gonna, if I kill that guy, it'll just spawn another rhino in. Oh fuck. He bouncing. If I choose to kill this guy, then it would just spawn another rhino in, and he might not be a slow rhino. So I just am like, alright, cool, I'll just kite this dude until the helicopter is done with the hive. I think that heading back to the first area for this part, like, I'm supposed to be guarding the helicopter from scorpions, but I think me being in this area forced the scorpions to like come to this area a lot as well, which makes them a lot less likely to hit the helicopter because it's way further away. So that was cool. Yeah, it says down there, it says Barrier Hive, protect the helicopter from scorpions, but like, if the helicopter takes too much damage from these scorpions who are trying to shoot it out of the sky, then it goes away for a little bit, but it just comes back. And so like, at the end of the day, you don't actually have to guard the helicopter at all. You can just let it do its thing, and eventually it will take out the hive, and that's what I was relying on. So now I'm just going to go set up for the third area, kill a few rhinos really quick in 4 times speed. This thing, it's supposed to sound like ambience, you know, that you're hearing right now. I'll let it play. It's supposed to be like some like ominous ambience noise, but because of it being sped up 4 times so that like it's actually watchable, it sounds like some weird like techno thing. It's groovin'. That's the rhino theme, by the way. It happens every time we run into a rhino, which is why I like reset, because there was 2 of them. So yeah, I'm looking, man, all the hives sound super weird in 4 times as well. I was looking for an arc and more flares. I don't think I found either of them though. Oh, I didn't, yeah, okay, I didn't find either of them. So it's hive time. We got 5 hives left. And then we have the escape sequence. This challenge, okay, got 5 seconds to get ready for it. What do? You throw out ferals and you look for the enemy that spawns right when that 5 seconds hits 0, and I think I have him, but I actually have the wrong guy. I get him anyways though. So, when you get the Leper challenge, it's like an infamous challenge because it just trashes on people who aren't able to get prepared for it in 5 seconds. The idea behind the Leper challenge is you need to activate something that lets you see enemies through walls. So if you have Feral Instincts, use those. If you don't, you use the Weapon Specialist ability, which gives you infinite ammo and also highlights the enemies. And then you get up to a vantage point where you can see the whole map. And then from there, you wait for that 5 second timer to hit 0, and you look for the guy that spawns in right when the 5 seconds hits 0 and the actual Leper challenge starts. The hunter, or the guy that looks like a hunter that spawns in right when the Leper challenge starts is the Leper. That's almost foolproof. Oh, here's a rhino, by the way. And he's done. That's how we gotta deal with him. The only problem with the strat of looking for the dude that looks like a hunter that spawns in when that challenge starts is that sometimes you get the Leper and a hunter just happens to spawn in, which is what happened in that instance. The Leper spawned in at the same time as a hunter, and so I picked one of them, and I was wrong. But I kind of lucked out, and he was close enough to get killed by my Cryptid Slayer arcing stun ammo. But if that doesn't work out, the Leper, I think he's a tiny bit smaller than a hunter. Just like his entire body just shrunk a little bit. But the big give is that he doesn't have any lighting on his face. You can see these hunters when I look at them. You know, they got like red glow coming from their mouth and their eyes. The hunter has none of that. It's just dark, completely black. Or not the hunter. The leper has none of that. So that's kind of what happened. I was shooting at the one, and then I saw another dude walking by with like no face light, and I just kind of turned to him, and that was the leper. This hive had killed me on a previous run. Oh man, that's a challenge. I messed up my buttons and I wasn't able to get my feral instincts out before the challenge, so most of this challenge I'm not going to have ferals, so that's tough. However, I still can use my weapon specialist and medic abilities, because they don't cost money, which I definitely will do. So this hive is particularly dangerous. We're up in like the second story of a barn right now. And when the rhino, so for these last 5 hives, a rhino spawns in at halfway for each one of them. And for most of the hives, or for all of the hives except for this one, I can either kill the rhino before it even gets out of the ground because he spawns like right next to me, or I can do a significant amount of damage. This hive is different though. He spawns, the rhino has to spawn in the ground, right? So he can't just spawn on the second floor of this thing. Instead he spawns beneath us on the bottom floor of this barn. And I can't, the floor has no penetration. I can't shoot through the floor and hit him. And there he is, the rhino just spawned in. So I'm not able to like cheese the rhino while he's trying to climb out of the ground. I just have to wait for him to like show up and use my abilities to take him out. Here he is. Oh my god. That one hit from the rhino took off like, you know, 2/3 my health. So I use my medic ability. This is funny. This hive is only 2 minutes long, or it's apparently it's a little less than 2 minutes long. So the hive ends before the challenge does and just gives it to me. Okay, yeah, so up to and including this point, all of the hives have either been like 2 minutes or 3 minutes long, right? All of the ones in the first, well, so the very first hive I did with the one with the melee only challenge, that one was only 30 seconds long. Then the rest of them in the first area were 2 minutes. Then all of them in the second area were 3 minutes. And then in the fifth area, the third area, there's 5 hives, and they go 2, 2, 3, 2, 5 in terms of the amounts of minutes that each one lasts. So, you know, the first 2 are real quick. This one's a bit longer. The 4th one's real quick, and then the 5th one just takes forever. Yeah, the 5th one just takes forever. It lasts 5 minutes. Great. So yeah, I've got a really easy challenge. At this point, I basically knew that I was going to get the Completionist once I saw that I had the trap, or like to get 5 kills with traps on the final hive in the second area. That's pretty much like the deciding factor as to whether you get Completionist or not on this map. That's the one tricky challenge. If I got 5 trap kills on this hive, I might be able to do it because those fences that the hunter was behind, and pretty much like that, the entire like fence system here is all electric traps, and so they're alright. I can take out seekers and scouts with those. And if you get it in the first area, or the first hive in this area, there's a fire trap you can kind of use. But if you get it on the hive that's up in the barn, or if you get it on the 4th hive, which is like out on the edge of a cliff, you're pretty much screwed for the trap challenge. Oh, I forgot to upgrade my max out my classes there. Yeah, so again, maxing out the classes gives me a big fat 50% damage boost, except it doesn't increase the damage I already had by 50% because I came into this with, like, the weapon specialist class gives you just a straight up 20% damage boost just by being a weapon specialist, so it's really more of a 25% damage boost in terms of how it actually feels, but that is quite a bit. We won't really notice it too much on like normal enemies, but we will on a rhino, which we just see right here. Yep. That's funny. I'm pretty sure I didn't kill that rhino with an actual bullet. The fire damage from the incendiary ammo got him. Yeah. At this point, I'm just trying to keep my feral instincts active at all times. If I don't have ferals up, I'm too slow to dodge the scorpions, like gas shots, and I'm too slow to avoid rhinos. So if the ferals ever run out at an unfortunate time, then I'm just boned. Yeah, after I maxed out my classes, and I had the 1 point in ammo, the 4 in ferals. None of the upgrades really mattered too much, so I put another point into ammo just so it maxes my ammo out, and then I put 2 points into my pistol so that I had an arc on my pistol as well as extended mags. I don't think I look at it at all because I'm just at this point I'm entirely just laser focused on surviving this game. But behind me, or off to my right, is the big ass crater. There it is. From when the, what is it? It's the chem strikes. From the campaign. It's like the Odin system, which launches like the rods or whatever. That's what in lore this game. Okay, yeah. Let me talk about the like the story of this map. It's very limited, which is really dumb. They should have made the on disc map have a little more stories so that people get involved with it. But basically, after the first level of the campaign, this is like alternate universe stuff, where one of the like super mega explosives from the Odin space station, which launches like tungsten rods at the Earth, uncovers this Cryptid Hive, and it wakes them up, and then they take over this little town in Colorado. and then we're just sent in. We're sent in to destroy the enemy's like little home base down there, which is an arc. Like in Awakening, there's an arc down there, but they didn't know that at this time. So we just nuke it, because fuck him, I guess. And for some reason the helicopter, so there's an escape sequence at the end where you have to run back to the start of the map. For some reason the helicopter can't just come like pick us up right next to this hive. So we gotta run back, but it's cool. This ambience that you're hearing right now is what that like weird techno music was in the 4x speed. For this challenge, I like to weaken a scorpion a lot with my gun, and then just stab him once. Unfortunately, it takes me a few attempts to realize that 2 shots from the MR28 kill a scorpion, so I just need to hit him once. But again, this hive lasts for 5 minutes, and we get a rhino at the halfway point, but that is plenty of time to do any challenge that you need. Yep, messed up. Shot him twice. Oops. This gameplay right now, it doesn't look very chaotic, but my god, it felt insane. Because I've been trying this for a while, so I was like super on edge for this entire section. I felt like that scene in John Wick 2 where he was like in the catacombs with like the AR-15 going ham. I felt like that, even though it's like way less impressive. But I mean, you can see that like I have things under wraps pretty well, but you know, a small distraction in my attention, like trying to knife that scorpion, let enemies take the drill down to 60 HP. So for this part, you just gotta be on it the entire time, like no slip ups, or else you just get fucking wrecked. An arc would have been nice, but you know, I'll I'll take the trade of not getting an arc for that weird rhino glitch that kept happening. I'll take it. Screw it, I'll take it. God, I love the arcing stun lightning on the Cryptid Slayer ammo. So okay, yeah, what this ammo is, it's an upgrade you can get by playing the game a ton, and it has the effects of all of the specialized ammo types that you have in the game. So it's incendiary, it's explosive, it is armor piercing, and it is stun ammo. And here's the rhino that's coming up in a sec here. And it upgrades like normal ammo. So, you know, it's pretty cool, you know, having all of those effects, but what really makes it shine is an additional upgrade that you can get on top of the Cryptid Slayer ammo called arcing stun ammo. And what it does is every time you hit an enemy with like the special ammo, it sends out a bolt of lightning to other enemies. And normally, with the arcing stun ammo, it just sends out that bolt and it just like hits the other enemies for a little bit of damage, and that's it. But the big deal is with Cryptid Slayer ammo, it sends out that bolt, which does a lot of damage. You can see like the bolt, not even my direct hit, but just like the lightning bolt one-shot seekers. It also sets any enemy that the bolt hits on fire because of the incendiary ammo, which is huge. It lets me just like shoot this thing into a group and hit way more enemies than I was looking at. That's that's really useful to run. You'll probably see it here in a sec with these seekers. Yeah, it like 3 shots, I killed like 5 things. And I believe that the damage of the lightning bolt depends on how much damage your gun does. So, you know, we've got this MR28 that already hits like a freaking truck. It's just doing a ton of damage to anything. It's useful. It also says that the amount of times it arcs depends on how far the ammo's upgraded. I don't know, I've never actually like tested that out, but I'm sure that there's something there. Like if it's level 4, it just like arcs to a ton of enemies, whereas if it's level 0, it only arcs for like 1 or something. I don't know. I haven't like actively tested that. Yeah, man. It's weird watching this footage back and like just like chilling in my chair. when I was playing this, I was like, I don't know, I was really nervous because I'm like, oh man, I know that I can die like super duper fast. Just like one slip up, like if a scorpion gets a really good hit on me, that could be the end of the game. Because like a scorpion hit, yeah, see, every time I get hit by one, it like just stops my movement speed entirely. It just like freezes me there, and if it's a direct hit, it knocks off like half my health. So, you know, one wrong scorpion hit could freeze me in place, take off half my health, and then open me up for like 2 seekers and a hunter to come finish me off. So I was like losing my shit, and I took a breather. I had to speed that part up because I literally just stood there for like 20 seconds, like calming myself down for this. And then yeah, I'm running here, and when I started that up, I was kind of worried because I didn't know if I was gonna get like 4 rhinos or just 1, and it turned out to just be 1, and he had the slow glitch, so I just took it and said, I'll just chill back here and wait for this meteor to go down so I can progress on my escape and get out of here. And then I also realized that I need to break line of sight with this rhino so that he doesn't do his his charge attack and get really close to me. So I just kind of like hide behind this corner here, and I wait for the. I have to run back to the start of the map, but I can't right now because there's just a meteor in the way. So wait here, trying to make enough money so that I can still have ferals ready to go. Yeah, and so that was the third area meteor. Got past that. We have another rhino spawning in now. But this one's fast, so that's a yikes. Throw my flare just to be safe, and I mean you see right there, Scorpions could have killed me. This is the fast rhino. Gotta watch out for him. Ooh. Okay, and at this point I knew I'd won because it's just the slow rhino left, and he's done. Got that flare out to distract anything that spawns. This meteor is going to go down at about 2:15, allowing me to run back to the spawn point, get extracted, and win the game. Oh, one thing I want to say before it ends, the nuke's going to go off. It's the timer up in the top left. The nuke's going to go off, and the screen's going to turn entirely yellow. In the old gen versions, for some reason, the yellow effect went away, which allowed you to like see the mushroom cloud. As well as get an aerial view of the map, which is really cool, but you don't get that anymore, so sad. Also, you can shoot things in this really slow motion part. That's cool. I think I kill a scorpion. Oh, got him there. Alright. And that's the game.